somebody recommended doing Japanese urban legends, which I thought was a great idea that I forgot about until last week. So here we are. So we're going to be slowly reading some scary Japanese urban legends and myths. So hopefully you learn something, maybe get a bit scared, but most importantly you feel somewhat relaxed. You'll have to excuse the background. We're sort of I'm in the middle of sort of renovating my cupboard space in my office just behind me there. So there's just rubbish everywhere pretty much. And we're also building a load of furniture for the other rooms as well, so the whole house is a bit of a dip at the minute. And where I usually film my videos, it is covered in stuff, so I've reverted to the safety of my computer for the setup we usually do for the scary stories. So apologies for that. We will be back in the usual setup with the bed behind me, and I bought a nice new astronaut projector as well, because my old one broke. It started making a horrific noise, which isn't ideal for ASMR videos. But enough about that. Let's dive into some scary Japanese urban myths and legends. Okay, so before we get to know what urban legends are about, we need to know, what are they? Urban legends are a type of modern folklore or myth that circulate within a society or culture, often passed on by word of mouth or through digital media. They are stories or anecdotes that are presented as true but lack verifiable evidence or proof. Urban legends often involve mysterious or supernatural events and can be frightening or disturbing. Okay, so we begin with Kuchisake Onna, or the slit-mouthed woman. Kuchisake Onna, also known as the slit-mouthed woman, is a Japanese urban legend that dates back to the 1970s. According to the legend, Kuchisake Onna is a woman who wears a surgical mask to cover her face. She is said to approach people on the street and ask them if they think she is beautiful. If the person answers yes, Kuchisake Onna will remove her mask to reveal a grotesque, mutilated mouth that stretches ear to ear. She will then ask the person again if they think she is beautiful. If the person answers no or screams in terror, Kuchisake Onna will attack them with a pair of scissors or a large knife. So the legend has several variations, but most versions agree that Kuchisake Onna was originally a beautiful woman who was disfigured by her jealous husband or a vengeful spirit. Some versions of the legend suggest that Kuchisake Onna was a vengeful ghost who was killed by a samurai. The legend became widespread in Japan in the 1970s and 80s. Many people reported seeing her on the streets, and rumours spread that she was a real person. Some schools even warned children not to walk home alone at night for fear of encountering Kuchisake Onna. Despite the widespread fear of her, there are no confirmed reports of anyone actually being attacked by her. Some people believe that the legend was a way for parents to warn their children about the dangers of talking to strangers or walking home alone at night. Others suggest that the legend may have been a way to express anxiety about changing gender roles and the increasing independence of women in Japanese society. So I'm just thinking, is there a way of getting out of it, like if you encountered her? So it's like, if you answer yes, they take the mask off, but can you answer no to the first question? Like, no, you're ugly even with the mask on, kind of thing. I guess maybe just ignore and run away, which would tie into the not talking to strangers thing, I guess. Right, moving on, we have Teke Teke. I hope that the pronunciation's right, I apologise if not. The legend states that if Teke Teke catches someone, she will cut them in half with a sharp scythe or a knife. Lovely. Just like what happened to her. Some versions of the legend suggest that Teke Teke is looking for revenge against those who bullied her, while others say that she is simply seeking company in her lonely, ghostly existence. So Teke Teke is a Japanese urban legend about a girl who was cut in half by a train and now haunts the railways of Japan. According to the legend, the girl was walking on a railway bridge when she slipped and fell onto the tracks, where she was cut in half by a passing train. In some versions of the legend, the girl was pushed by a group of bullies. After her death, the girl's ghost is said to appear to people who are walking on or near railway tracks. She is usually depicted as the upper half of a girl with long black hair, dragging herself along the ground with her hands. Her name comes from the sound she makes as she drags herself along, which sounds like Teke Teke. The legend of Teke Teke has become a popular urban legend in Japan, and has been the subject of many horror movies, manga, and anime. It is often used as a cautionary tale to warn children of the dangers of playing in near railway tracks and bridges. Makes sense. The story has also gained popularity in other parts of the world, with variations of the legend appearing in countries such as Korea and China. Right, next one. Hanako-san. Hanako-san is a popular Japanese urban legend about a ghostly girl who haunts school bathrooms. The legend states that if you go to the third stall in the girls' bathroom on the third floor of a school and knock on the door 3 times, Hanako-san will appear. Some versions of the legend say that you must ask Hanako-san a question or say her name 3 times, while others say that she will simply appear. She is usually depicted as a young girl with bobbed hair, wearing a red or white dress. Her face is either normal or disfigured, depending on the version of the legend. Some versions of the legend suggest that she may have been a victim of bullying or abuse, and that she appears in school bathrooms to seek revenge against those who mistreated her. So according to the legend, Hanako-san is the ghost of a young girl who died during World War II when a bomb hit her school bathroom. In some versions, she is said to have been killed by a janitor who locked her in the bathroom. The legend of Hanako-san has become a popular part of Japanese folklore and has been the subject of many horror movies. It's often used as a cautionary tale to warn children not to go to the bathroom alone and to be respectful of the spirits that may inhabit school buildings. Some schools have even named their bathrooms after Hanako-san as a way of acknowledging the legend and calming students' fears. Moving on to Akamanto. So, Akamanto, also known as the Red Cape, is a Japanese urban legend about a ghost who haunts public restrooms. Again, according to the legend, Akamanto is a handsome man wearing a red cape who appears in the last stall of women's or men's restrooms. He asks the person using the restroom if they want red paper or blue paper. If the person chooses red paper, Akamanto will wrap them up in his red cape and cut them open, spilling blood everywhere. person chooses blue paper, he will suffocate them until their face turns blue. Nice. Some versions of the legend suggest that he may offer other colours of paper or even a gold cape. But no matter what the person chooses, they will meet a gruesome end. The origin of the Akamanto legend is unclear, but it is believed to have been popularised in the 1930s or 1940s. Some versions of the legend suggest that Akamanto was a vengeful spirit who was killed by villagers, while others say that he was a samurai or a soldier who committed suicide. The legend of Akamanto has become a popular part of Japanese folklore, and it is said it is a tale to warn people not to talk to strangers and to be careful when using public restrooms. Some people also believe that the legend may have originated as a warning about sexually transmitted diseases, as Akamanto is sometimes depicted as wearing a mask to hide his face. Our next one is titled Achi Shakusama, or the 8-foot tall woman. Achi Shakusama is a Japanese urban legend about a tall woman with 8 feet who preys on children. According to the legend, Achi Shakusama appears as a beautiful woman with long black hair, dressed in a white kimono. The legend states that Achi Shakusama appears in rural areas, often near forests or mountains, and targets children who are playing alone. She uses her height to lure children away from their homes and her long arms to snatch them up and carry them away. Once she has taken a child, Achi Shakusama will torment and scare them for several days before ultimately killing them. Some versions of the legend suggest that she may also possess children or turn them into her own kind. The origins of the Achi Shakusama legend are unclear, but it is believed to have originated in the Miyazaki prefecture of Japan. The legend has become popular in recent years and has been the subject of horror stories, movies and games. The legend of Achi Shakusama is often used as a cautionary tale to warn children not to talk to strangers or wander too far from home. It's also sometimes used to explain disappearances of children in rural areas. It is a popular part of Japanese folklore. I tell you what, these poor Japanese children are being absolutely traumatized by stories. Just tell your kid don't talk to strangers and don't leave the house at night. Don't have to be telling them about the slit-mouthed woman in Achi Shakusama. Poor kids. Okay, now moving away from a person and to a place, we have the Kiyotaki Tunnel. The Kiyotaki Tunnel is a real-life location in Japan that is said to be haunted by the spirits of those who died during its construction. The tunnel is located in the mountains of Kyoto and was built in the early 1920s to connect the city of Kyoto to the town of Takao. People who have driven through the tunnel at night have reported strange occurrences, such as hearing voices, feeling a presence, or seeing apparitions. According to local legend, during the construction of the tunnel, several workers were killed in accidents, or that a woman and her child were killed in a car accident in the tunnel, and their spirits now haunt it. One of the most famous stories associated with the Kiyotaki Tunnel involves a bus driver who was driving through it late at night. As he drove through the tunnel, he saw a woman standing in the middle of the road. The woman had long hair and was wearing a white dress. The driver slammed on the brakes to avoid hitting her, but when he got out of the bus to check on her, she had disappeared. Other stories suggest that if you drive through the tunnel at night with your car windows open, you will hear the sound of someone tapping on the window. If the car window's open, why would you hear tapping? When you turn to look, you will see the ghostly face of one of the tunnel's construction workers staring back at you. So, one of the issues I have with all of these, I mean, they're obviously just stories, but it's always like a girl with long black hair and in a white dress, like in The Ring, kind of thing. Why is it never a middle-aged woman with a blonde pixie cut? I don't know, because, yeah, well, really it's not scary, is it, to be fair. Oh, speaking of The Ring, we have the Curse of Sadako. The Curse of Sadako is a popular urban legend in Japan that originated from the popular horror movie series Ring. The story revolves around a cursed videotape that once watched leads to a phone call, and then 7 days later, the viewer dies. According to legend, the cursed videotape contains a series of disturbing images, culminating in a warning that the viewer will die in 7 days. Anyone who watches the tape is cursed, and the only way to break this curse is to make a copy of the tape and show it to someone else. The story of Sadako begins with a young girl named Sadako Yamamura, who was born with psychic powers. She was kept locked up by her father, who used her powers for his own gain. One day, Sadako's father pushed her down a well to keep her from revealing his secrets. Sadako's spirit was said to be so strong that it lingered, and she cursed the well, vowing to seek revenge on those who wronged her. Her curse was believed to be so powerful that it manifested in the form of a videotape. I suppose we'd be alright now, wouldn't we? Because no one really has cassette players, so would probably just die out, wouldn't it? Not to sort of go off in a tangent from these urban legends, because these are super interesting, but it related to The Ring. I went to a sleepover in year 6, I must have been about 10 years old, and me and my friends watched Scary Movie 3, which of course parodies The Ring. Now, one thing to know about me, now I love horror movies, but growing up in a Christian family, I was very much sheltered from horror movies and anything remotely scary. So even a parody version of a girl climbing out of the telly and climbing out of a well terrified me. My friends weren't fazed. We turned the lights out to go to sleep after it was done. 10 minutes later I was crying, and I asked the one friend who was still awake to turn the lights on, and I think I went home actually. I got my mum to pick me up. Years later, I will stand by. Scary Movie 3 is scarier than the actual Ring, I swear. I haven't watched the Japanese original though, to be fair. Just the American one, but yeah. Probably wasn't really a point in sharing that, but there you go. Enjoy. Right, back to the legends and myths. We have Hashiru Yuri, or running ghosts. Hashiru Yuri, or running ghosts, is a Japanese urban legend about ghosts that are said to appear in the form of people running in the middle of the night. According to the legend, the running ghosts usually appear between the hours of midnight and 3 AM, and they're often seen on deserted roads or in isolated areas. They are said to run silently, but their footsteps can be heard, and they can move faster than any human ever could. The running ghosts are often depicted as being faceless or blurry, making it difficult to see their features clearly. They're also said to emit an eerie glow or be surrounded by a ghostly mist. This legend is based on the belief that when a person dies suddenly and tragically, restless and continue to run in the same way they did in life. Some people believe that the running ghosts are harmless and simply continue to run because they are searching for something or trying to complete a task they were unable to finish in their life. Others believe that the ghosts are vengeful and seek to harm those who cross their path. Next we have Kappa. Kappa is a legendary creature from Japanese folklore which is often described as a water sprite or a water demon. The Kappa is said to inhabit rivers and other bodies of water and is known for its mischievous and sometimes dangerous behaviour. The Kappa is often depicted as a humanoid creature with the head of a turtle, a beak-like mouth, and a bowl-shaped depression on the top of its head. This depression is filled with water, which gives the Kappa its strength and vitality. The creature has webbed hands and feet, and a shell on its back, similar to that of a turtle. According to the legend, the Kappa is a mischievous creature that enjoys playing pranks on humans, such as stealing crops or dragging people underwater. What a prank, get drowned. The Kappa is also known for its love of cucumber, and it is said that if a person encounters a Kappa, they can bribe it with cucumbers to avoid harm. Despite their mischievous nature, Kappas are also believed to possess some knowledge of medicine and healing. It is said that if a person is captured by a Kappa, they can be released if they promise to teach the Kappa the secret of how to heal wounds. In some versions of the story, the creatures are portrayed as protectors of children and are said to punish those who harm or mistreat children. Kappas are also believed to be sensitive to politeness and respect, and it is said they will bow back if a person bows to them in greeting. Interesting. Right, we've got a few more here on a couple of other sites that don't go into quite as much detail, but are interesting nonetheless. So, we have Rokurokubi, the long-necked creature. Beware of appearances because this creature, very seductive by day, turns into a horrible monster by night. Her neck gets longer and she becomes ruthless. The legends of Rokurokubi are very present in Japanese folklore. Some of these creatures only scare humans while others devour them. Most of the time, these yokai of ordinary appearance are totally unnoticed in society. They have a job, a family and friends just like everybody else. It even happens that some of them think they are human and confuse their dreams with reality. Fortunately, these dangerous creatures can be unmasked by their little white marks on the neck. Could that be typical when you match with someone on Tinder and they turn out to be a Rokurokubi? Right, here we have Domino's Hell, the poem that kills. To all the fans of Japanese poetry, be aware of an urban legend that says that whoever reads these lines aloud will die. It is about a poem by Yamota Inuhiko called Domino's Hell, which evokes the condemnation of a young boy who committed atrocious acts. Somewhat creepy, all of that. In brief, a murderous poem that is best left unspoken. The Japanese horror legend echoes Gloomy Sunday, a famous Japanese song that caused a wave of suicide in the 1930s. I was not going to lie, not that I'm sadistic or whatever, but I kind of wanted to read the poem, but I assume it's in Japanese, which I can't read, so... Okay, here we have Hitobashira, the human sacrifice of Maruoka Castle. Did you know that in Japan, human sacrifice was practiced until the 17th century in order to preserve buildings from natural disasters? castle was built in the Sengoku period and was an important monument in Japan. However, the keep always collapsed. It was necessary to find a way to stabilize the foundations. That's when the idea of adding a human pillar came up. A woman named Oshitsu agreed to be walled up alive in exchange for making her son a samurai. Only the promise was not kept. Her tears have flooded the castle moat every year since. Next we have Gotsu or Cow's Head, the terrorizing story. If one does not exactly know the content of this story, it is better not to tell it at the risk of being condemned to die. Gotsu is an evil spirit with the appearance of a cow head. During a school trip, a teacher, not knowing how to calm his dissipated students, had the bad idea of telling this horror legend. The demon then came and took possession of his body. By the time the teacher had finished telling the story, the bus had crashed and all the students were lying on the ground in agony. None of the survivors could remember the Japanese horror story that had caused this tragedy. It begs the question if you read it, but then you forget it, how was it even read in the first place? I also don't know what the sort of teachings of that story would be. Maybe don't spread misinformation. I'm not sure. Here we have Inunaki Village, a cursed place without faith or law. Ever heard of the legend of the ghost village in Fukuoka Prefecture, completely isolated from civilization? In Inunaki, no law is applied, as the sign at the entrance can attest. Thus, in the midst of murders and barbarism, chaos reigns. There's also a rumour that electrical appliances do not work in this mysterious place. The urban legend of the Inunaki village has never been verified, as no one ever returns from this cursed place. However, it is known that the village has gradually become depopulated due to urbanisation. Realised my camera just died then, not sure for how long, so I'll place a supposed image of Inunaki village or whatever story it ran out on, but that's my bad. Right, and here we have I'm gonna butcher. I feel like I've been okay with the pronunciation so far, but this doesn't look great. Aokigahara, or the Suicide Forest. Probably the most haunted place in Japan. Aokigahara is a vast forest located at the bottom of the famous Mount Fiji. Set on a lava flow dating from the 9th century, it is populated by many conifers. It is known as the Sea of Trees, or Jukai in Japanese. Very dark and dense. People say that whoever ventures into this mass of vegetation does not come out. Indeed, it is easy to get lost, especially since the forest covers 35 kilometers squared. Moreover, it is tragically reputed for its numerous suicides. Ribbons left by people to find their way back. Objects and sometimes corpses are said to be found along the way. The forest is truly frightening. I wonder if that's the one where Logan Paul, did you know what? Wow, what a time that was. Right. There. We might have run out. Oh no, we've got a few more. Lovely. So, we now have the Okiku doll. The legend of the Okiku doll differs from our previous stories as the doll physically exists and resides in Mananji Temple in Hokkaido. The tale dates back to 1918 when a purchased the doll for his younger sister, noting that they both had bob haircuts. The little girl was infatuated with the doll, and they were inseparable. Tragically, a short time later, the girl passed away from an illness. Her family displayed the doll named Okiku on an altar in remembrance of their daughter, and noticed that the doll's hair was growing. They concluded that the daughter's restless spirit was inhabiting the doll and eventually provided it to Manenji Temple, where it remains today and is viewable to guests. Okiku's hair continues to grow to this day despite haircuts from the temple's priests. If you're in Hokkaido, why not stop by and observe the eerie phenomenon yourself? That's crazy. And the final urban legend of this video is the Red Room Curse. For those reading these tales on your computer, this story is for you. Lovely. The Red Room Curse is an internet-focused story that starts with an ominous pop-up. The pop-up features a red screen with black text that reads, "Do you like the Red Room?" which is accompanied by a sinister pre-recorded voice asking the same question. No matter how many times you close the pop-up, it will continue to appear until the voice has finished its question. Afterward, your entire screen will turn red and become flooded with past victims' names. No one knows what happens next, but the receivers of the pop-up are always found dead, with their blood painting the walls red, creating the titular Red Room. Once you receive the pop-up, it is impossible to escape your fate. And that is that. Those were some creepy urban legends from Japan. Definitely some very, very interesting ones in there. If you'd like to see more urban legends, do let me know. I just sort of thought as we were going there, I feel like we could maybe do like one urban legend from every country in the world. Maybe not every country in the world, but you know what I mean. Like, look at it country by country. Or if you guys know if there are any countries specifically which have a wealth of urban legends that isn't the UK, America or Japan, then feel free to let me know, because I do find them super, super interesting. But anyways, that is going to do it for tonight's video. I really hope you did enjoy. If you did and you're able to, then please do give this video a like and subscribe if you're new. And until the next video, everybody,